Welcome to 2 Hours No Traffic, a New York, Philadelphia sports podcast presented to you by Sideline Sports. We are your hosts. I'm Spen Harris. He's Philly Brandon. It is December 28th. We have 3 days left in 2022, Brandon. That's all I got.
Yeah. I mean, 2022, as far as, years go, I'm not coming down to the finish line of this one going, thank God it's over, get me out of here. 2019 sucked, 2020 pretty ass overall. 2021 had some moments, but I mean, this is the first year. At the end of it, I'm like, all right, nothing tragic to me at least has happened. I'm doing all right. I don't know about you.
Well, listen, I totally get 2022 being a great year for you. I mean, you met me in person. So,
true, yeah.
And we played basketball in person, which was dope. Saw my brother's comedy show. So, yeah, a lot of cool things in 2022. I got married twice, essentially, to the same woman. And there wasn't a problem with the first one. It was but yeah, just a lot of good things. And this show, give 2 Hours No Traffic credit. We've put out a lot of content this year. We will continue to put out content, big things to come in 2023. But as we wind down this year,
we hit our new listener high this year. The Phillies episode we did was 670 views. So
wow, that's high praise.
Yeah.
Shout out to the city of Philadelphia, by the way. I know I'm from the tri-state New Jersey, New York area, but listen, I wouldn't be doing this podcast with you if I didn't have a little respect for Philadelphia. So shout out to all those people out there.
The Brooklyn Nets organization, not necessarily all of their members, but the organization as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, I just complimented your whole city. I gave you guys respect, and you gave Brooklyn, the Brooklyn Nets organization, some praise. Like, all right, I guess I'll take it.
I mean, New York doesn't need any more praise. That's the whole reason Philadelphia exists. It's like the reason we're the way that we are is because we'll never be New York, and it's just thrown in our face constantly. So I don't think New York needs a bigger head than it already has.
And our head can't be that big. We haven't won anything in freaking years. 2011 was the last championship for the New York Giants.
When did the Yankees win their last one?
No, 2009.
Oh, wow. So the last championship for the city of New York was 2011. That's hard to believe.
So it's 11 years ago. And I don't know how close the New York football Giants are to getting a championship right now. So listen, we both know the closest team in New York to winning a ship. If the Brooklyn Nets can continue this hot streak they're on, they're playing the Hawks right now, going for their 10th straight win.
9 in a row, right?
No, 10 in a row.
10 in a row. Okay.
10 in a row. The score right now is 67-66. A lot of time left in the third quarter. I have that game paused. I'm going to watch it after me and Brandon finish up here. But Brandon, we got a lot to get to because we're in that sort of time period in the NFL where it's crunch time for teams that want to make the playoffs. Your Eagles are just, they're pretty much going to coast into that number 1 seed. NBA is kicking up a gear. You have teams kind of showing who they really are in December, and that's really it. I mean, baseball's got some news, but I don't think there's anything that's been huge that we have to cover today.
Yeah, the biggest thing was really the Carlos Correa deal. Mets threw him a boatload of money. Well, I think it was $310. Dude can't pass a physical. He didn't pass his San Francisco physical. The Mets thought that would be different. He didn't pass that physical. They're trying to work a deal out. Correa said he didn't want to take less money. I can't see the Mets paying full price for a guy who, can't pass a pretty simple physical. I mean, you've seen guys start the season injured who have passed the physical, so it's surprising that that's still getting held up. But yeah, outside of that, baseball's been pretty quiet. At one point, I know the Sixers just lost the other night, so our streak was snapped at 8. But at one point, our teams are a combined 17-0. So the NBA is kind of getting, the teams you thought were going to rise to the top are kind of rising back to the top. Embiid's been on a ludicrous tear in December. James Harden's kind of been back. You see Kyrie and KD working together. Ben Simmons, admittedly, has had a good month of December. So you're starting to see what I think you and I expected to see like over a month ago.
Yes, 100%. We're going to talk Sixers and Nets in a sec. I just wanted to get back to Correa for 2 seconds. I picture him walking into a meeting with the owners, like 50 pounds overweight, eating like a hoagie, just being like, all right, where do I sign? And they're like, hold up for a second. What?
Like
Eddie Lacy. Yeah, he's doing his best Eddie Lacy impression.
That dude came in like a bowling ball.
I think it's hilarious that he's failing physicals all over the place. I think that's funny to me. Anyway, yeah, let's talk Nets and Sixers because these are two of the hottest teams in the East. You know, the first, I don't know, call it the first fifth of the season belong to the Celtics and the Bucks. I would say the second fifth in the East belongs to the Sixers, the Nets, and the Cavs have been pretty consistent, but I don't think anyone would put the Cavs above those four teams right now. You guys are on a little bit of a roll. You're winning games. Embiid is playing at an MVP level as of late. I've been looking at Harden's numbers. He's been fantastic, and you're doing all this without your third star in Tyrese Maxey. So, talk to me about the overall vibe of this team. How are you guys winning? What has changed since, the beginning of the season where you guys struggled a bit to now?
So the biggest thing changed. D'Anthony Melton is really becoming the guy we thought we were going to get. He was all upside. We'd seen him in short stints here in Memphis where he'd get kind of rolling and he wouldn't get the minutes he needed. And we're starting to see that guy now where he can shoot the lights out of a building. I think he's shooting well north of 40% in December from deep. He's a great defender. He's been so good that there's a legitimate discussion in Philadelphia whether or not to bring Tyrese Maxey back in a starting role. I think that's ridiculous. I think Maxey's your starter. But I also think with the way the NBA runs anymore, you can play small. I mean, Tobias can play the four. He's 6'8", he's muscular. A lot of the time, like you're not seeing these crazy, real big muscular fours. Now, a lot of the fours are stretching the floor. With Tobias can guard them. PJ Tucker's hand is just dead. I don't know when that happened, but I mean, you can watch him play. He has no feeling in his hand, so he shouldn't be starting. My starting lineup when Maxey's healthy would be Harden, Maxey, Melton, Tobias, Embiid. I know we're a little bit small. We're the second-rated defensive team in the league. Our wing defenders should be able to hold down the floor. I just think it makes so much more sense going that way rather than having PJ Tucker out there playing 36 minutes a game, scoring approximately 0 points. There's just better ways to use the minutes.
Yeah, that was one of those signings where, he's been great for teams. He's been great for Miami, great for Milwaukee, but I don't know. I feel like his success had sort of run its course, and he's not his skill set is so specific, PJ Tucker, that like if he's not giving you that tough guy, rebounding, hitting open threes, play, and I don't think he's been doing that for you guys. I don't think he's hitting a lot of threes these days.
No,
he shouldn't really be out there.
They got to sit him. He has no feeling in his. I think it's his left hand. Like, I mean, I'm sure a little bit of it, it's him. He's getting older. He's getting less effective, but he's playing hurt, and there's no need for him to play hurt. Joel Embiid, you play him hurt. Tobias Harris,
right?
Those guys tough it out. Dude, PJ Tucker, we can replace your minutes, dude. Go get healthy. Come back when you're useful.
Right. And as far as, people talking about Maxey not starting when he comes back, you know what we call that in the biz, Brandon? We call that an overreaction. Okay, we've seen this happen. John Morant went out last year. The Grizzlies went on a freaking tear. They were always going to start him when he came back. Kyrie Irving was out, for the Nets for like a game or two. His suspension, the Nets were playing really well. When he came back, I don't think anyone said, oh, let's bench Kyrie Irving. Like, Maxey is one of those guys. He's absolutely proven that. He is a starter. He's not a bench player. And he's better than anybody else the Sixers have at the guard position that's not named James Harden.
Yeah, and that's the crazy part because what's like the takes that have been coming out is like, well, D'Anthony Melton riding the hot hand and all that. And I get that. He's played phenomenal basketball in December. But they asked Joel Embiid, like what it's meant to not have Tyrese Maxey on the floor and how the team's adjusted. And, he's not usually one to mince words. And he said, look, we're without our best player right now. James Harden was, he was back at that point. So it was very clear what he meant. It was like, the most important guy on this team to what we want to do is Tyrese Maxey. And, I take Joel Embiid's word for it. He's, like I said, he's been one to call out the fans. He's called out the organization. He's called out basketball. He'll tell you what he's thinking. So I don't take that as like teammates speak or locker room talk. I think he for sure believes he's got to be the guy. And I'm with him. Like, the dude gets hurt and the city's just ready to move on to the next guy. Like, Melton's played great. Shake Milton's had a resurgence. None of them are Tyrese Maxey. They're just not.
I totally get that. And I do want to touch on James Harden because, I mentioned Joel's been killing it. That's what we expect out of Joel, right? I mean, he'll get you 48, 50 if you need, but he's a 30-point scorer per game. He's going to do it in the post. He's going to do it in the mid-range, and he'll hit a few threes. James Harden is someone who started the year a little bit shaky, got hurt. What has he shown you, Brandon, since he's been back? And does he have another level that you think he can get to?
He does, and that's the thing. Like, and I mean, it's going to sound like a broken record talking to you, of course, because I mean, you had this on your team too. Like, I don't know if you watched the Christmas Day game or not, but he looked like Houston James Harden. I mean, he got cooking in like the third, and he had 30 points heading into the fourth. Like, it was a vintage James Harden night where Embiid couldn't get it going early on. Tobias didn't really have it going. Melton was cold. So he was creating his own shot. He was hitting step back threes. He was aggressive. He was driving to the lane. Like, it was everything that he can do. And it was refreshing to see he can still do it. But I'll go to these games and I watch every game. And there's nights where he kind of reserves himself, where he turns into like Ricky Rubio all of a sudden, where he'll have a drive that he can take. He'll have a defender on him, like one-on-one, no help in the post. Like, James Harden should cook this guy, and he'll kick it out. He'll pass to an open guy, and it's like, dude, you're not a facilitator solely. You're a great facilitator. We brought you here to be a superstar. You got to be able to do both. You got to give me 25, 30. Like, I don't care if you have 15 assists and 6 points. It's not a good night in my book if you're James Harden. I think you're muted still. Even still.
It's funny because, I was getting back to the page. You had to go through this with Simmons, where you always thought Simmons had a level up, and he never really got there. Or when he did get there, it was regular season garbage. It wasn't, playoffs.
Yeah.
But with Harden, it's just funny because, like, Nets fans have Simmons, and we're like, all right, we don't really need him to do much more than he's doing. Which is, and I don't want to hear about, you're paying him this money. Like, enough with the money for 2 seconds. You don't need Simmons to score. All he's got to do is rebound, pass, and play defense. He's been doing that really darn well these last few weeks. Harden is supposed to be able to do a lot more than Ben Simmons for you guys. So if he's just going to play that facilitator role, like, what was the point, of trying to upgrade? And obviously he doesn't bring the same value on defense that Simmons brought. He doesn't bring the same value as a rebounder. So I don't know. That's like, it's tough because you guys want Harden to just unlock. Obviously, he's never going to be Houston James Harden, but you want him to be Philly James Harden when he got there, right? Last season when he just went on a tear with you guys to start off.
Yeah, like, I don't see any reason if you're James Harden in the point in your career you're in, like, you have Joel Embiid, the best center you ever played with. You have Tobias Harris, who can create on his own. He can hit from three. He's another guy I want to get to in a minute before we get to the Nets. He's had a complete turnaround in his career. But, like, you have pieces that you've never really had before outside of briefly in Brooklyn. There's no reason you shouldn't be getting 20 a night because you're not seeing the double teams. You're not seeing the collapse post. I mean, everybody has to respect Joel. They have to respect Tyrese. They have to respect Toby. You should be seeing a lot of one-on-ones. You should be winning the one-on-ones. What's a little bit annoying is there's nights where he seems to phone it in. And the only reason I know that is because the nights when he turns it on, you can see it's still there. Like, the Knicks are a good basketball team. They're a good defensive team. Christmas Day, lights are bright. James Harden looks like he's 29 again. But then when we play Toronto at home on a Thursday, he's comfortable with 8 points, 13 assists. And I'm sure if you look at his, player efficiency rating or the advanced metrics, I'm sure it looks phenomenal. But we need you to be Joel's parachute when he can't put up 40, 45 a night.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Harden's like my car that I'm driving recently. It's older, still works, but it doesn't want to work all the time. Like my electric battery, every now and again, I have to use the manual key to open the door. And it's like, come on, like I know you work. You know what I mean? Like, stop fucking with me. Right.
Exactly. I wanted to get
By the way,
that's
the analysis you're not going to get on ESPN. Someone comparing James Harden to their old beaten down Infinity from like 2006. I just want people to know that.
Yeah, that's unique to this podcast. And another thing that's unique to our podcast is we don't talk about. It's not LeBron, the Lakers, a verb, and move on. It's like we're talking about rotational guys, and I've long lamented Tobias Harris at moments. He'll never live up to the contract. He's kind of like our Ben Simmons. I don't care what he makes. He already makes it. It is that money's gone. He has been everything you've asked him to be this year. He didn't come here a spot-up shooter. He's shooting, I think, 41% from three. He's crashing the boards on defense. He's being a 4. When Joel's cold, he's carrying the offense. Like, he's done everything that we don't have, he's made himself. And I just don't think enough people nationally or in Philly kind of appreciate the fact that he flipped his game on its head to fit in here. He used to be a post creator, one-on-one, ball dominant wing. That didn't work here. So he became the complete opposite, spot up shooter, create when you need to, bail Joel out. Like it's hard to flip your game around the NBA. And he's pretty much done an entire 180 on what he used to be known for.
So a few things I think are hilarious. Tobias Harris is someone that the Nets really wanted to pay before Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant chose to play in Brooklyn. Did you know that?
It's funny. I think he fits in with Brooklyn now.
Right. So that was my second point. He is exactly what every Brooklyn Nets fan would love, which is like essentially I look at TJ Warren and what he gives the Nets, and Tobias Harris is TJ Warren on steroids. Like can hit from the mid-range, can hit the three. He's much more athletic than TJ Warren is right now with Warren coming off the leg injury. He's just like a little bit better at everything, I think, than TJ Warren. And Nets fans are oohing and ahhing over Warren getting like 15 minutes a game. But if you had a guy like Toby and you put him in the starting lineup with Durant, Kyrie, Simmons, and Claxton, basically he takes Royce O'Neal's spot right now. And Tobias Harris is a much better player than Royce O'Neal. So, those are kind of my 2 points. Like we wanted him, I guess, 4 or 5 years ago. And also like he is the just ideal player that I think Nets fans have been clamoring for seasons.
Yeah, he's the ultra glue guy. It's whatever you're ailing, he can probably do it well enough to get you by. And if you watch him, when Embiid's not out and he can get down into the post, he has, pretty much a full arsenal of post moves that he can take just about any 4 off the dribble down there.
For sure. I have a question about the Sixers. So you guys are playing well now, but you still have a coach that none of you guys like. So is this almost a curse if you guys are playing well enough where Doc keeps his job, but come
100%.
Playoff time? Yeah. I mean, you don't trust him in the playoffs.
The worst case scenario for this season is a second round exit, because that means that we played well enough for Doc to survive the season. And then you and I talked off air about this, but I think another second round exit means James Harden doesn't resign here.
Right.
He wants to, he's ring chasing at this point, and back-to-back second round exits. For him, for the Sixers, it's like 7 in a row second round exits. There's no reason for him to think that this franchise has what it takes to win a ring. He'll probably go elsewhere, at which point we're really kind of left out in the cold with 1.5 superstars until Tyrese is ready to make that jump.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But you guys are on a different kind of plane where it's, for me, I think for the Nets, it's another year where the expectations are super high. But unlike years past where you had Harden, Kyrie, KD, and going into the season, it was these are the team to beat in the East. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're a Brooklyn Nets fan, just based on what they've given you so far, if you make the Eastern Conference Finals, that feels like a gigantic moral victory to me. If you're the Nets,
okay, I mean, like, yeah, comparing where we were to start the season, comparing where we were in the offseason, sure. If we get to the Eastern Conference Finals, Nets fans can be like, yippee, we got far. But Kevin Durant will still be gone next year. Like, my thing with the Nets is they need to win a championship for KD and Kyrie. And first of all, there's been a lot of talks about the Nets potentially recommitting to Kyrie because he's been on such a hot tear lately on the court and off the court. He actually hasn't said anything terrible in the last few weeks. So, like, my point being, yeah, as Nets fans, we'll love to get to the ECF, but if we don't win the whole thing, there's still a strong chance that we don't get to see like this team next year. But that's where my head's at. I think what's encouraging if you're a Nets fan is Kevin Durant seems to be happy right now. He's happy with the coaching. He's happy with the players. He's happy with the way the team is performing. But what's scary is he can change his mind. He never said anything negative during last season in regards to him being unhappy. The whole season he was frustrated when they started losing, but it was more like, hey, we got the guys out there. We trust Steve Nash, trust Sean to make the right moves at the deadline. Going to the playoffs, everything's good, get swept by the Celtics, and then all of a sudden, I want out. So that's what's terrifying as a Nets fan is, I'm happy he's in a good place right now, but we need to continue this momentum. The Nets, if they, need to figure it out with Kyrie, what's going to happen there? And does KD and Kyrie want to build in Brooklyn with Ben Simmons for the next few seasons? I don't know. Last year, I would have said absolutely. This year, I just don't know. But that's my pessimistic sort of fan perspective. I mean, what do you think? Do you think that I'm crazy to think this way, or do you think that it's kind of justified given how crazy our offseason was?
I don't think there's a snowball's chance in hell that KD stays after this season.
Even if they win the championship?
Yeah, I don't think it matters. If he was in a different stage in his career, absolutely. I think if he has those championships with Golden State. So I don't think, and he's accomplished every accolade you can accomplish. So, and I don't think he's the kind of guy. Actually, he's proven not to be the kind of guy. He doesn't care about building. He's not building anything.
Right.
That's just not what KD's about. So this offseason, if the rest of the season doesn't go in such a manner where he's completely at peace with the Nets management, Nets coaching, Nets ownership, and a title, if all of those pieces don't fall perfectly into place and then the offseason goes perfectly, I think it's going to take a good, not great offer. Everyone's going to give him max, but I think a situation that's even slightly better than Brooklyn, he's pretty likely to jump ship just because that's who he's been all along. He'll always go where he thinks the grass is greener. So I think if you're counting on him to hang around in the twilight of his career and build, and he just hasn't done it yet.
Well, hold on, time out. I don't mean build as in like rebuild a franchise.
No.
When he came to Brooklyn, he talked about trying to build something here and sort of, change the reputation about the Nets around the league. And in 3.5 years, that's been a complete and utter failure. Like, the Nets are the most overhyped basketball team to not perform with the talent they have and the expectations that have been set for them each season. So I can see them winning it all. And all of a sudden he says, all right, the 3 years before this year sucked, but we figured something out. I can win here. So I know that I'm still with my buddy Kyrie. And that's will probably, give him some sort of deal if Kevin Durant's going to stay. I might as well stick it out here. I mean, where else could I play? Every team's going to need
Anywhere.
I know I'm with you on that, but I don't know. I see him.
Any team, one star is going to pitch him the same thing the Nets did when they had just Kyrie. I mean, they're going to give him the same pitch that Brooklyn did, but they have like one guy. And it's going to be, look, we can get you this. We can get wing help. The closest model to me in you guys winning a title is, you have 3 years of proof of this not working, of the Nets organization being a little bit dysfunctional, not really being able to handle the amount of star power.
A little bit's an understatement, by the way.
Very dysfunctional.
Yeah.
So I think if you win a title this year, those 3.5 years don't disappear, in my opinion. I think you just become the next iteration of Toronto, where you win a title and you're just as soon forgotten about.
I can see what you're saying. I get that. I just don't want to be a super negative, pessimistic asshole Nets fan right now.
I'll be it for you. I mean,
I know,
not every title turns into, Golden State turned one title into a dynasty. The Miami Heat kind of did too. More often than not, teams that win a title, they don't have enough to sustain it the next year, and they kind of float back into anonymity a little bit.
I'm with you. All right. So we talked Nets, we talked Sixers. Do we have anything else to discuss? Basketball? Not really. You want to get into football for a second?
Yeah, we'll round it out with football. It actually kind of segues from my last point about, how hard it is to win a title. A week ago, I was feeling like the Eagles couldn't be stopped. Not easy title, but no one I was worried about. We'll be fine. The only thing that can stop us is ourselves. Since I said that, we turned the ball over 4 times against Dallas. We lost the best right tackle in football. Our MVP quarterback is going to come back, but they already said he won't be 100%. CJ Gardner-Johnson, who leads the league in picks, won't be back into the playoffs, most likely. And Avonte Maddox probably won't play again this season, our starting nickel corner. So the only thing that couldn't happen essentially did. And, the team that we fielded for 16 weeks won't be the team to go into the playoffs with. And that's the hard part about, the NFL and playing the game is you can have a great regular season, but in Philadelphia, it happens more than other places. The injury bug can kill you at any moment.
Football is so fucked because the team that's playing the best through the first half of the season, they rarely are able to maintain that through the rest of the season. And you guys were so explosive, so dangerous. Everything was clicking. Hurts is your MVP. Sanders is having a great season. You have 2 stud receivers just absolutely killing it. The defense is playing together. Like, it was almost like too many good things were happening for you guys week in and week out, to the point where you're saying, like you said, the only thing that can stop us is ourselves. And that's what's happening right now. Do you think that Hurts will be good enough where you guys will be able to win, after that first round in the playoffs? Because you'll have the bye, assuming you get the 1 seed.
Yeah, so the 1 seed, right up the 1 seed this week is enormous because, look, a win in week 18 now against the Giants is not a guarantee. I would much rather wrap things up this week against New Orleans than have to play you guys week 18 with something to lose. So
week 17, right?
Well, no,
it was only 17 weeks.
Oh, right, yeah, 17 from 6. Wait, yeah, game 17, yeah,
right.
Yeah, so I don't want to play you guys the last week of the season with something to lose. I also want to give that week off to anybody over 30. That means like Jason Kelce, sit down. Like anybody who could possibly get hurt has to sit. The Chicago game was brutal with that, and then the Dallas game you lose Lane Johnson. So if we can get that week off and we can let the guys get 3 straight weeks of rest, then I feel pretty good about our chances. If we have to play straight through, or if we have to play that last week and only get 1 extra week off, I mean, Jalen's going to have to play against New York if we get to that point, which sucks that you have to have him out there. I think the season hinges on this week. If you lose with New Orleans, then I'm officially in panic mode.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think you guys should win. I have faith in Minshew Mania. I think Gardner's going to have a really good game. Do you guys have 2 Gardners on the team?
No, well, CJ Gardner-Johnson is middle name.
Technically a Gardner.
Yeah, And Gardner Minshew, for what it's worth, balled against the Cowboys for a backup quarterback. He had some moments. If you saw the last play of the game, I don't know, he was having hallucinations of pass rush that wasn't really coming. But other than a few of those weird moments, he threw for 355, 3 touchdowns. Like, you can't ask your backup for a lot more than that.
Right. I like your guys' chances against the Saints. Okay. You're going up against Andy Dalton. If you lose to Andy Dalton in a significant game, that's going to be embarrassing. And they're very banged up, the Saints. They have Kamara questionable. They have I was just looking at their report. They have Olav questionable, Chris Olav, Marshawn Lattimore. They're a banged up team, and you guys should not even make it a game. You should beat them by like 4 touchdowns. You guys can do that.
Oh yeah, we're 6.5 favorites, 6.5 point favorites. Like, it's supposed to be a pretty easy win. I have to look for the stat again. But we've only won 3 of 12 since whenever Lane Johnson's hurt.
Yeah,
so
that's not good.
I mean, not a great track record.
All right, we can get to my Giants. We lost the game against the Minnesota Vikings last Sunday, 27-24. But according to every single Giants fan, and I don't even know if I agree with this, they said that Daniel Jones played his heart out and he should be the Giants quarterback moving forward. I look at his stats. Yeah, I agree with that, but like, what kind of contract do you give him?
No,
this is a big deal. This season.
Yeah.
No, we're talking about next season.
No. Next year has got to be a new quarterback in New York.
Yeah, so like that's kind of like I had this whole conversation with my father, who likes sports not as much as we do, but he'll watch Giants games, and he was like, "Oh, Daniel Jones proved to me that he can be the guy." I'm like, dude, he threw 1 touchdown. They scored 24 points, but like it wasn't even an efficient 24. I don't know. I don't think Jones is that guy. He never outcompetes the other quarterback. Like, as great as he played, 30 of 42, 334, and a touchdown and an interception, Kirk Cousins had 3 touchdowns. He threw for 299, 34, 30, 48, and 3 teeters. And like only one of them was to Justin Jefferson. 2 of them were to TJ Hawkinson. So I don't know. I don't believe in Daniel Jones. And I think like when he loses games like these and people are like, oh, but he blah, 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 blah. He's got 13 touchdowns this year. That's tied for 23rd in the league passing touchdowns. Yeah. That's not good.
It's not good enough. And you're coming into an off season where now the only way I can look at it from Giants fans' perspective and talk myself into bringing him back next year is that the quarterback class of 2024 is bananas. I mean, you're going to have probably 3 or 4 guys who, if they weren't in the same class, would win a Heisman. So if you wanted to buy a year and wait for that class, I could see that. Because really this year, the only great quarterback coming out is TCU's quarterback.
When is Arch Manning going to be in college and be eligible?
You got a ways to go for Arch. Not that it matters.
He's 17.
USC's quarterback will be out next year. He's a stud. Will Levis will be out next year. He's a stud. Like there's really talented quarterbacks in 2024. But I mean, this year, even in free agency, for what it's worth, Derek Carr just became a free agent today because they're definitely going to let his ass go.
I don't want Derek Carr.
I think he's an upgrade over.
I don't like him. I don't like his personality. I think that he's a gigantic hardo. When all the Gruden stuff went down,
yeah,
and his quote about like love the man, hate the sin. It just was like weird. I don't know. I don't want Derek Carr to be the Giants quarterback. I don't think he can make it like in New York either.
Probably not. But your other options aren't phenomenal. I mean,
I know I've said this in the past the other way. I'd take Daniel Jones over Derek Carr just based on the fact that I know Jones can handle New York.
Yeah, I mean he's way less of a talent on the field. Like Jimmy G would be the next best thing, but I think if the Jets don't get Lamar, or if Lamar decides to stand pat, I think they're the more desirable New York team at the moment. Like, I think they're truly a quarterback away from being a real problem in the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
You guys might be a quarterback and some pieces.
By the way, I've never seen like what's happened to Zach Wilson like happen this quickly. And like I just feel bad for the guy.
I mean, yeah, I do, and I don't. I mean, it was a quick fall from grace, but you can like he has that vibe about him where he's never failed at anything before. So I think in some corner of his head, things are still going all right. I would like to see Mike White get a fair shot at the Jets job next year.
I think he will. Yeah, I absolutely think he will. I think Salah likes him a lot. But no, to your point about Zach Wilson like never failing, like you can tell when he talks to the media, and they were like, "Hey, like you think you deserve to be the starting quarterback?" He had some. What was his answer? Basically, was like, "Yeah, no, like it's not up to me." Like I don't know. It was a very like kind of you can tell he's never been asked a question like that. Like he started and excelled at everything he's ever done. He's like, "Me start? I don't want to toot my own horn here," but
it's for me, it's poetic because I'm such a vehemently opposed to like analytics and like they always pick a guy before the draft where you never heard of him or he was like 5 or 6 best, and they're like no, everyone's overlooking this guy. This is the guy. This is the one. And that was Zach Wilson at BYU. They had every reason not to like him. He didn't play a great schedule. He was careless with the football, but then he made that throw in a dome to an uncovered receiver, and the football world convinced themselves that this is the guy, this is the savior. And everything since should have been predictable if we didn't make him out to be the second coming.
But yeah, I agree with that sentiment. I remember that throw, and I remember how crazy everybody went. And Jets fans are very quick to like pounce on a quarterback that might flop. They've done it a bunch of times. They've done it with Darnold. They've done it now with Zach Wilson.
Geno Smith, arguably got cut short. I mean, his coaching was rough, but look at him now.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's a good point. By the way, I like how we swing the Jets in there. We really don't talk a lot of Jets on this podcast. I'm a Giants guy. He's an Eagles guy, but we're full of surprises, Brandon.
Yeah, I mean, both of our teams, you pretty much know what to expect at this point. The Jets are a more fun storyline because you have, the last year's top pick getting run out of town.
Right.
But we're also up almost 40 minutes, so the people are going to get a little bit of bonus content tonight. Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah from Spence and I.
Happy holidays, guys. Happy Kwanzaa for those who celebrate Kwanzaa. And any holidays we left out, happy holidays. What are you doing for the New Year's, Brandon? Any nice plans?
We're dialing it back this year. We're going to a house party with probably like 8 other friends. Typically, I'm a big go to Philly, go to a club, get the pay $100 cover for the drinks and all that. And dude, you gotta get on the train, then you gotta get an Uber from the train to the club, and then reverse that. And it was just like, I don't care, man. I got a girlfriend. I don't need to be out there.
I did the city thing 1 year, like probably 7 or 8 years ago, and I'll never forget. My dad was like, "Don't be walking around Manhattan at 2 a.m. wasted." And it's exactly what I did. I was with 2 guys, and we walked past a group of people, and I just pretended like I was a bull, and I ran into these group of people with my head down, and my friends were both like, "What is the matter with you?" And I'm just like, "I just want to go home." and then we got home, and my dad's like, "You guys are idiots. None of you answered your phones, and you're all really stupid." I'm like, "That's great. I'm gonna go to sleep now, Pop." That was the last time I was in the city for New Year's Eve. It's been a minute. So, we're not going to a house party. Actually, that's not true. My parents throw an epic New Year's Eve party, and we're definitely going to stop by there. Dude, they have like, I don't want to out them on this show, but they have a good amount of people. And we live in a very small house. So we're going to stop by there, but I think we're going to do like a sushi dinner at this really nice sushi spot. And get home before midnight. Watch the ball drop with Homer the Corgi.
Sweet. Well, Happy New Year from myself to you, and from the 2 Hours No Traffic podcast to all of our listeners. Everybody stay safe out there. Go crazy, but not too crazy, and don't wind up in a cop car.
Yeah, it's great advice. And also, wherever you're going, make sure you go to the bathroom beforehand. So when you're on your way, you don't have to stop at some random restaurant in Manhattan and tell Brandon, like, hey, give me like 10 minutes.
Go light up a poor Italian cafe who didn't deserve what happened to him.
Shout out to Quality Italian. I can't wait to actually dine there one day, as opposed to just using their facilities.
Oh, wait, that's what that place was called? Quality Italian?
It was either Quality Italian or Quality Meats. It was one or the other, but they're
Quality
two like
Meats.
famous. That was okay.
Quality Italian's a very famous Italian spot in Manhattan.
I think it's the same owners.
Really?
I could be wrong, but I think
The way Quality Italian's been described to me is like a very nice, like company dinner, high class Italian joint.
Yeah, they do the chicken parm, right? They do the chicken parm thing.
Yeah.
I think it might have been quite. Well, hold on. West 57th Street, West 58th Street. They're right near each other. It's the same fucking owners. I'm not crazy.
I know we stopped at well, not we. Me and Victoria sat in the car while you stopped at Quality Meats.
I'm on the website. Quality Italian, Quality Meats, Quality Bistro is another spot.
Okay.
So anyway, great bathrooms there.
All right. On that note, I got work in the morning. One of us has to go into an actual office. So signing off from 2 Hours No Traffic. Shout out to the Sideline Sports family. Happy New Year, everybody.
Peace.